Okay, good evening once again. I hope to find you well. So this is the Accounting for Managers introduction session. So we're going to go through the overview of the module to understand what the module is all about, so that for those who do not have a foundation in accounting, who understand what they're facing, but it does not matter much if you do not have an accounting background. You should be able to do it. The topics that have been selected to be done in this module have been selected carefully so that for managers who may not have an accounting background may also be able to understand, right? However, this is a postgraduate learning. You should not be afraid even to learn new things. So it doesn't matter if you've done accounting before or not. You should be able to understand the concepts which are in this module. So you just need to focus and also read the material that is given. Right. So for this session, we are going to look at the module overview, the outcomes of the module, the assessment, but we'll skip on the assessment. We'll not focus much on that. The study material, how you can study the module, introducing the module. We'll introduce the module. We will cover a few concepts there, and then approach the best approach to assignment one, maybe just to conclude with that so that we can have some take homes as well. Right. So the purpose of learning in this module is to enable students to interpret and evaluate financial reports. Right. Which is your first assignment. So you should be able to interpret and evaluate financial reports. So you may not be an accountant, yes, but you should be able to evaluate and to interpret the different financial reports that you are given, right? So you're a manager, you need to do that. Yes, the accountant will do the number crunching and produce the reports, which you as a manager should be able to interpret, right? So the student should be able to read and analyze financial statements is also assignment one. Understand the capital budgeting process, which would be assignment two, to evaluate the company's management of working capital. You should also be able to evaluate costing and product pricing decisions, and to evaluate the budgeting process of an organization, right? You should also be able to appreciate the role of financial and management accounting within an organization, right? So accounting has got two branches, which is financial and management. We'll see on these topics that we are looking at on the screen. So we've got a business environment, your first topic. We've got financial reporting. We've got financial statement analysis. We've got cost and cost behavior. We've got cost volume profit analysis, capital budgeting, and budgeting. So from unit 1 up to unit 3, that's financial accounting. Then from unit 4, 5, 6, 7, that's management accounting. Right. So they both involve calculations, some number crunching, yes, and they involve interpreting reports as well. Right. So these are the topics that you're going to cover in the module. Then this is the main text, right, that you have. I'm sure you have the textbook already. This is the main textbook, and try to stick to it. It's also simple to understand. You can add other books or other information, but this is your main textbook, the recommended one, right? But you can use any other source that you want. But in terms of formulas, especially when it comes to the assignments or the exam, try to stick to that book because it's the one that will be used, right? Right. So how best can you start the module, right? You have to understand both the theory and the calculations. It's not only the calculations, you need to understand the theory as well. And then practice on given activities, the quiz and the given questions. They will assist you to understand the module. Then you can attend tutorial sessions Where possible, if you are given an opportunity to do so, utilize them. It's also important. And when doing your assessments, do not wait for the last minute to do the assessments. You need to work on them in time, because usually they are comprehensive, they require a lot. So you need to do it in time so that you do not rush the last minute to do the assignment. For example, assignment one, it's a comprehensive assignment. There's a lot you'll be analyzing. Maybe 8 financial statements which you're going to be analyzing, right? So that needs to be done in time, right? Then moving on to the module itself, we're going to look at a few concepts to understand what the module is all about. Right, so accounting can be defined in a variety of ways. We can define it as a system of gathering, analyzing, recording, reporting, interpreting financial information through certain documents or financial statements. So there are different definitions that you can see around. But the whole idea is that we gather information, we analyze it, we record it, and we report. And we also interpret, right? So accounting involves recording, right? Business transactions, right? Which are done on everyday basis, right? So accounting also involves preparing and analyzing financial statements based on the transactions recorded through the bookkeeping process, which is your assignment one. So that's very important to understand the financial statement. So financial accounting on the other hand, and then management accounting on the other hand. These are the two main branches of accounting. So financial accounting is attached more with reporting the results and the position of the business to people and authorities. So you can even see the financial statements of different companies, even in the press, for public companies. And then you can also see the financial reports for different companies when they publish them. Then management accounting, on the other end, is concerned more with generating information for the use of internal management, for you, the managers, right? And hence the information reflects the real or really expected position. So management accounting is focused with internal, right? For example, you might be aiming to reduce the costs in a business. So the efforts that have been done to reduce the cost, or maybe to understand what you're going to do to improve cost management of a certain project, that might be internal information, right? But your performance in terms of the profit, the balance sheet, and so forth will also be used by external users, such as investors. If you want to invest in a company on the Johannesburg Stock Exchange, you can look at its financial statement to see how it is performing. Okay, so back to the financial accounting, it is historic in nature. You are given information of what is already transpired. That's why you see in 2025, the latest financial statements that you can get are the 2024 financial statements, right? But on the management accounting, it is futuristic. You are looking at what will happen in the future. For example, budgeting. We are looking at what is going to happen. We are budgeting. So it's futuristic. We can also, when we are doing capital budgeting, we are looking at different investments that we can make, and how we can do those investments, the expected returns. So it means it's futuristic. Then the financial accounting is standardized and regulated. This is why it is reported to the public as well. We can easily compare one company to another because there's a standard. You prepare that according to the accounting standards, right? But on management accounting, the company is free to use own methods through information financial accounting. So you can use your own methods because that is for internal use. So financial accounting follows window dressing tactics in order to project a better than actual image of the enterprise. So because this is done for public consumption, and companies can window dress. They can twist a little bit so that the company appears to be working well when you analyze the financial statement. So there are limits to that, of course, because there's an extent which is not allowed, right? Basically, it's not ethical, but accountants will always find a way to window dress so that the financial statements will appear better to the public, right? Then we have got accounting information, right? And users of that accounting information. So who are the users? We have internal users, that is managers, yourself, managers within a business who use account information on daily basis to make decisions. So you can see that your wage bill is too high. Maybe you want to retrench people. It means you are using accounting information. Employees can also use accounting information. Owners use accounting information. We also have external users, such as SARS, right? For tax purposes, we have government, we have lenders, we have suppliers, we have customers, we have competitors. They all use accounting information. So what decisions are made using the financial information? For SARS, I think I've indicated. Then for competitors, they may want to make competitive moves. They can use the information that is provided in your financial statements. The government may also want to use that information for policy making. The lenders may want to assess your credit worthiness or your credit quality, right? Same applies to the suppliers, may want to see your credit quality as well. The customers may want to compare the quality of the service through that information or the continuity of a business before they deal with you. They want to see the continuity of a business so they can get that from accounting information. So we've got a conceptual framework which guides accounting, right? Which is the generally accepted accounting principles, the GAAP. So this framework has got qualitative characteristics which are expected in accounting, right? So the accounting information is expected to have relevance, is expected to have faithful representation, is expected to be comparable, to be verifiable, to be timeliness, and understandable. These are the qualitative characteristics of the GAAP framework. Then we've got the assumptions, right? Economic entity. Of course, the business which prepares accounts is expected to be an economic entity. And there's also continuity, that is the going concern. We expect a company to be continuing in the future, right? This is why in the reports, in the financial reports, there will be a section where it indicates going concern, right? And when you do principles of accounting, there is what they call balance carried forward. When you used to prepare the tier accounts, right? We used to end the tier account with the balance carried forward. So the balance carried forward is an indication that we are going to have the next period where it will be a balance brought forward. All right. Then the time period, if you look at the financial statements, they've got a given time. So there are also timeliness to say income statement for the year ending 31 December 2024. So there should be a time period, right? So that it's standardized. We can compare like for like when comparing different companies, just like what we're going to do in assignment 1. And then the monetary unit, your accounts should be expressed in the same monetary unit, right? That is done for comparison purposes, because we have said they should be comparable. Then there are principles to be followed in preparation of the account according to GAAP. Historical cost, you record your transaction at historical cost. Then we've got the revenue recognition, which determines when do you recognize revenue, because businesses can offer a service and then they get paid later, right? So if you offer your service in March 2025 and then you get paid in August 2025, when do you record the revenue? Do you say, I have received the revenue in March, or you have received in August? So in accounting terms, you record when you offer that service, that's when you end it. When you receive is another thing, but when you end it is another thing as well. So earning and receiving are two different things. So when do you recognize revenue? So there is a principle which guides that. And then expense recognition, the same applies to the expenses as well. Right? Someone can offer a service to your company and then you pay them later, but it doesn't mean that you incurred that expense later. You record when you incur the expense. Then we also have conservatism. We try to be conservative as much as possible. For example, we set provisions and we also set bad debts. This is why companies set aside provision for bad debts, that there are companies which may, there are customers which may fail to pay their debts. It's called conservatism. So we conserve as much as we can, right? So conservatism will require setting of provisions such as provision for bad debts, which I have given as an example. So this is the GAP framework. That is the general framework that we follow, right? Then financial accounting involves a very important section of financial statements, right? The financial statements summarize the performance of the company. And we've got the basic financial statements, which are the balance sheet, the income statement, statement of cash flows, and the statement of retained earnings. These are the financial statements which you are going to analyze in assignment 1. Right. So if you open those financial statements, which you're supposed to use, you see the balance sheet, you see the income statement, you see the cash flow, you see the statement of retained earnings. Right. So these financial statements supply information to people inside and outside. This is why we are able to access the financial statements for Pick n Pay, for ShopRite, publicly. You can just download them, right? And these have been prepared, governed by the GAP framework, which we've just looked at in the previous slide. So on these financial statements, they present different type of information. The balance sheet or the statement of financial position, which is the other name, shows the financial health of a business. It shows the net worth of the business. So if people say, can we see your balance sheet as an individual, they are looking at your net worth. How much assets do you have? How much liabilities do you have? And the assets are those things which you own or items which the company own, and the liabilities are those which you owe to others, right? Because you can have, for example, motor vehicles for your company, which you have taken on credit, right? So they are not yours. If you have taken them on credit, it means you owe someone. Those are liabilities which needs to be paid back. If you take a loan, it's a liability. So we can see that through the balance sheet. We also have the income statement, which shows all the revenues of the company, less the expense, to arrive at the net income. It shows the profit that you've made for a given period. We've got the statement of cash flows, which shows how much cash we started with, how much cash we added, how much cash we used, and how much cash we were left with. So that one is a very important financial statement, because yes, you might have the assets, but you might not be liquid enough. So the cash flow shows the actual amount of movement of cash in a business. However, it depends with the nature of the business, because the other businesses which uses more of cash, and the other businesses which uses less of cash, right? So yeah, I wanted to look at the Massmart financial statement. Then I thought, since we are going to look at Pick n Pay and ShopRite, I will show you those ones. However, I will show you at the end, right? When we just introduce a little bit of the assignment, then I will show you the financial statement. So I will no longer show the Massmart financial statements, right? So the way the Massmart financial statements are presented is very good. We have used them before, of course, right? but I think I will just use the ones which we are going to use for assignment 1, just to be aligned. Okay. So there's another part now. We have moved on to from the financial statements, which is the first part. We are moving on to accounting and ethics. This will not be part of your assignment 1, but it's a very important section of accounting which you need to know, right? Because ethics is a discipline dealing with what is good and bad, with moral duty and obligation, right? Then ethical behavior, it's knowing and doing what's right, what's right and what you know is right, taking into account all stakeholders that are likely to be influenced by your decision. That is ethical behavior. So it may not be a law, or you may not be following a law, but it's a question of what is right. Then we also have what you call an ethical dilemma, right? Which refers to a situation where you are not able to determine which decision is wrong or right, right? Apologies for that spelling, we'll correct that, right? So we call that an ethical dilemma. And in this module, you can be given a situation where you need to determine, it is very difficult to determine what is wrong and what is right. We call that an ethical dilemma. You can be given that as a question and you're expected to resolve such. So ethics in accounting, when you're given such a situation, which I'm referring to, you need to identify the ethical dilemma, you need to analyze, and you need to provide resolutions, right? So to do that, we can use what you call the ethical decision-making model, which starts with recognizing an ethical dilemma, right? And a dilemma is likely to occur when a company is considering a decision about accounting methods or disclosures, and when one of the following takes place. There are conflicting accounting rules, you can have a dilemma. This accounting rule says otherwise, this one says otherwise, they are conflicting. So which one do you choose? If there is no gap to follow as well, because if they are conflicting, we can just follow a principle. But if there is no principle to follow, then what do you do? Then fraud or other questionable actions have occurred, we can have a dilemma, right? So the owner of the company may want to apply for a loan from the bank, and they will ask you as the manager to manipulate some things, overvalue some assets such as the land, so that the bank will see that your company has got high valued assets. But maybe you are now thinking, if I do this, it means I'm misrepresenting the bank. We can get the loan, the company can succeed using the loan, but then I'm misrepresenting the bank, which is unethical. So you've got a dilemma whether you follow principles or you listen to your CEO. It's an ethical dilemma. So after you've recognized the ethical dilemma, you analyze the key elements in the situation. Who may benefit or be harmed? The organization may benefit if you get a loan. The bank may be harmed if you misrepresent and you default on the loan. How are they likely to benefit or harmed? What rights or claims may be violated? If the bank has a right to receive correct information, then it means you might violate that. What specific interests are in conflict? What are my responsibilities and obligations as a manager or as an accountant? What are you supposed to do, even if it's your CEO, but you've got an obligation, right? So in that case, it may be helpful to refer to professional codes of conduct. All right. So it's not always that you listen to your CEO. Then you may also need to look at the professional codes of conduct. Then after that, you determine what alternative methods are available to report the transaction, situation, or event. So in the example that I'm giving, instead of manipulating the value of the assets, maybe you can tell your CEO that there are other ways which you can do to appeal better to the bank. Then you offer that. So which of the alternatives is most relevant and a faithful representation? Then timeliness is important and potential bias must be identified in that. Then you also look at, does the report accurately represent the situation it claims to describe? Is the information free from bias? Then you find the resolution. So from the alternatives that you have, you select the best or the most ethical alternative, considering all circumstances and consequences, right? Then you have resolved an ethical dilemma, right? So that's a situation which you can be given, and then you'll be asked to um, find a solution to such a dilemma, right? Then this is the first assignment that you have, right? So after I've just looked at those few issues, financial statements and the ethics, those two forms the foundation of what we're going to look at. Of course, we have not covered the concepts in relation to management accounting. So the first assignment is on financial accounting side and is on the topic of financial analysis. So here you are required to download the group or consolidated financial statements for Pick n Pay and ShopRite groups for the year ending 2020 to 2024. Right. So these financial statements, they've got, usually they are, when they are published, they will also have last year's figures. For example, the 2024 financial statements will also include the column for 2023 for comparison purposes. Right. So you download all of them. So if you download 2021, you're going to have 2020 and 2021. If you download 2023, you're going to have 2023 and 2022, and then you download 2024. So you download both for Pick n Pay and for ShopRite, right? So start these documents, including the statement of cash flows and segmental breakdown of the results. Then using the financial statement analysis, prepare a report outlining the financial condition of the companies, critically analyze the results using ratio analysis, horizontal analysis, as well as vertical analysis, right? So horizontal analysis, it means you are comparing the years, right? Comparing 2021 to 2022, whether there's an increase or decrease for those years, it's a horizontal analysis. Then for vertical analysis, it means you are comparing within that year, right? As compared to a certain base. For example, you can express every item as a percentage of revenue. So you want to see how much of revenue each percentage was taking. For example, you may say wages over revenue. Then you see how much percentage were wages taking from revenue. Then you say depreciation over revenue. So want to see how much depreciation was taking from the revenue. Then you compare what wages are taking from revenue and what depreciation is taking from revenue. That is called vertical analysis, right? We'll do more on that in the assignment, of course. So 30 marks are allocated for profitability. It means you're going to analyze profitability in terms of ratio analysis, horizontal analysis, vertical analysis, right? Then you go on to liquidity, you do the same ratio analysis, horizontal analysis, vertical analysis. Then you also do the other part of the investment opportunity. Then you also do segmental analysis, right? Where you look at different segments, right? Analyzing them, support, because that information in segmental analysis can support your findings on liquidity, on profitability, right? So here I'll just show you maybe the Word document, which has got the structure that we'll use when you are writing so that you may understand. At the same time, I will also show you the financial statements. I'll just show in one. So allow me to share the financial statements, and then I will share the Word document with the possible structure that we may use for this assignment. Right, so if you look at the screen, you can see the financial statements. This is for Pick n Pay 2022 and 2023. Okay, so these are the financial statements which we'll be analyzing, right? So what we are doing here, for example, if it's horizontal analysis, we are comparing, for example, revenue for 2023 and revenue for 2022, whether it increased or decreased. In this case, it increased, right? We can compare the gross profit as well. This is where we'll be taking the information from. We can also analyze the balance sheet. We can do the same. We can compare the non-current assets, right? We are comparing the non-current assets, right? And so forth. So this is the information. These are the financial statements that we are analyzing. This is how they can be presented. This is the cash flow, right? There are different elements. So all these figures are the ones which we'll be taking and then analyzing them, right? So there are also notes which can be given to the financial statements, which can assist you even in your analysis as well. You can also be given segmental analysis in these financial statements. So usually this business, the way they operate, they can have different segments. So segmental analysis can assist in your analysis for comparison. You can see that one organization is the majority of its revenue coming from one segment, and then another organization can have lesser revenue but with many segments, so that if one segment fails, another one can still support, right? Which means that is a better company. So when you do analysis, you can even consider the segmental analysis as well. So this is an example of the financial statements. This is Pick n Pay, right? So for ShopRite, we do the same. The financial statements are also there, right? But now I'm going to show you the Word document where we can put in the figures that we'll be extracting from these financial statements. Right. So there are many of them in this case. From 2020 up to 2024, it means there's a lot to be done. I think when we did the last assignment, we were only looking at 2 years. Right, we'll see on this document, but I think it was only 2 years that we're looking at. So this time around, there's much. So you can have your executive summary, which summarizes everything that you have done in your analysis. Then you can start with profitability, for example, right? These are the figures we were doing MTN. This is, I think this is 2023. We're doing MTN, right? So it means here we'll be doing Pick n Pay and Vodacom. We have got the ratio, we have got the formula, then we have got the figures. So we'll be taking these figures now from the financial statements, and this time it will be 2020, 2021, 22, 23, 24. So we're going to have all these years. We calculate this ratio. Then we compare all these years. So we want to see how the firm was performing in terms of gross profit margin over the years, right? We move on to the next ratio, we do the same. Then we'll be done with one company, right? We move on to the other company, right? Which will be ShopRite in this case. We do the same for all these years, comparing the different years. So when you present this, it means you are comparing the years, right? Then after that, you compare the companies, right? Somehow you compare the companies as well. So you analyze these profitability ratios for the two companies, you compare. Then you go to horizontal analysis of the income statement. You do the same, right? For the two companies, you are taking the figures, then you calculate the percentage changes over the years. This one will be 4 years, so there will be a number of years to analyze. Then you move on to vertical analysis, which is of the income statement as well. Then we express everything as a percentage of our revenue. We compare the figures as well. So we'll be taking all these figures from assignment. We move on to the liquidity section. We do the same, the ratios. vertical analysis, and horizontal analysis. So you need to know which financial statement do you apply vertical analysis, which one do you apply horizontal analysis. There are cases where you may not apply vertical analysis on the statement of financial position, or there are cases where you do not need to apply it depending on what you're doing. Are you doing liquidity? Are you doing profitability? We need to determine that. So if you look at profitability here, profitability mainly focuses on the ratios and the horizontal analysis of the income statement, but there's no financial statement, which means there's not much we can gain from the financial statement on the profitability. So we do that. We analyze the investment opportunity. We do the segmental analysis as well. Then we provide our recommendation and make our conclusion. Basically, that's how it will be structured. That's how you can structure that assignment for financial analysis. So all these figures will need to be interpreted. So these are just tables. There will be interpretation. For example, this table is about 1.5 pages or to 2 pages interpretation to interpret these formulas. We move on to this table again, is about 1.5 pages and so forth. So it will be a very long report after you have done everything. You will have a very long report there, right? So this is what you be expected here. So you need to provide all required formulae, right? All trends, the interpretations, and the analysis. So to interpret is one thing, and then to analyze is another thing. Then we provide vertical analysis, cross-sectional interpretation, which is the horizontal analysis, and also some future considerations. So when you analyze, you can also some future consideration because you are looking at trends. It may increase, may decrease. You can also use graphs where necessary. Tables will be used. The executive summary will be provided, but you can also use graphs. And the quality of your own conclusion and recommendations should be of top-notch as well. Because everyone can analyze the figures. Yes, they can tell us what is happening from the figures. But your own conclusions and recommendations now can set you apart from the next person, right? So when you do this assessment, you also need to go beyond just writing down the figures. You need to speak to those figures. You need to have the story behind. And there's a reason why you're given these two companies, so that somehow you can also compare and you can learn from how they are performing. Right. So that's what will be done in assignment 1. Right. So I've introduced what the module is all about, what you are going to be studying, all the topics which you are going to study in the module, and then a snippet of the financial accounting, which I've introduced with the 2 sections under Unit 1, that is financial statement analysis and the ethics, which I have introduced to you. And then we described the financial analysis of the financial statements. I showed you the financial statements of Pick n Pay as an example. We also looked a bit on what is covered in the assignment and what you'll be expected to cover. So that's what we are going to do. So it will be a very long assignment. Hopefully we'll be able to finish in 1 session, right? But we have to try to finish in 1 session, but to be a very long assignment, and it will need you to be active, to be available, right? Because we'll populate those figures together. As well, some of them I will pre-populate to save time, but you need to be there and ready with your calculators, with the financial statements. Was moving back and forth in the financial statements, between the financial statements and the document will be a bit difficult. So when you have your financial statements, you can just ask, what is the revenue for 2022? You give us the figure, and then we move on. We do the calculations. So at least if you are available, provide such information, and then I will guide you on the maybe on the analysis, the calculations in the analysis. It will be better. It will save time. It will give me more time to focus on the analysis. So at least you should be there. You should discuss together. You should assist in getting those figures, right? But I know it will be very long, and in most cases, we won't be able to finish everything, right? And this time around, it's 4 years. So it means there is more to be done. There's a lot, and it has to be done in time. So I'm sure we'll be able we should do this assignment as early as possible so that we have enough time. You have enough time on your end to go and finish off the remaining parts and then to polish it as well. Right. So if there are any questions which you might have in terms of the introduction that we have provided, what we've discussed, or the module in general, you can use the platform to ask so that we can discuss, I can respond to you. Otherwise, this is the part that I wanted to share with you as an introduction to accounting for managers.
Hi, Sevik. Hello.
Hello, Doctor, how are you?
Yes, good. I just wanted to highlight something that might be of importance to others. Like you have highlighted, we are going to be having a session that will focus on the first assignment. But I'm sure we'd need to determine if you are going to have enough participants for us to have that class. So I think I'm gonna send a poll that will determine how many people will be interested in that kind of a session so that we also save time. If perhaps there's not enough participants, we don't waste time preparing for the session. So perhaps I'm gonna create a link so that people can vote and participate to see how many will be interested in that session, so that we can make a well-informed decision with regards to that. With the other assignments as well, it's not just accounting, but it's quite a lot of modules that we provide support for. So if you're really interested, you can just send us a message or WhatsApp so that we know how many of you guys will be interested in that kind of a session. I don't have much to say at the moment. If there are no further questions, I think we can end here. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Hi, sorry, Wells.
Hi, yeah, sorry, yeah. Okay, so sorry, go ahead, Sienda.
Okay, is there a possibility that we can maybe the next session that we're going to put pause on, make it a bit longer, as I think Sir Vic has mentioned that it will be complex and a bit complicated to explain for people that are not accountant, that they don't have an accountant background. So is it possible that we can make it longer?
And just to follow on to your question, Sienda, Wells, because to your point, yes, you need to figure out how many people are interested, but then for those who are interested, are we able to reach out to you directly, or what will be the process thereof? Because yeah, to Sienda's point, some of us are not accountants, so we take this very seriously.
Okay, so like I said, I'm going to just create a poll in each of the groups that we have so far and check the attendance, because at least if we get 15 people who are interested, or 15 to 20, then we know it's worth it to sit down and prepare the class, because it also takes effort and time to get it ready. So at least if we people can vote and we can determine how many people are interested, it helps us to know and make an informed decision, rather than you prepare for the class and then nobody shows up for that class, then it won't be of any use. But like I've said, we just need 15 to 20. It can be a good number for us to work with. And like, remember, it's not just for this class. If you are doing PGD, we have classes for value chain, 4806, 7, 8. And if you're doing MBA, MBL, we also have a package for that. And we are going to be posting the information with regards to the fees and what is expected of you, apart from the payments. right? So I think quite a lot of people will be having a lot of questions with regards to the information about payments and stuff like that. But we are going to send all that information on the group. And then if you have further questions or further deliberations, then we can take it from there. I hope you are fully answered concerning that.
Thank you
Yep,
very much,
all
Wells.
good. Yeah, thank you.
Yes.
All right. Thank you so much. Over to you, sir. If you have anything to say before we close.
Okay, thank you very much, Vitawos. I don't have much to say. I just want to thank everyone who has attended the session. And I would also want to emphasize and say we'll be there to support you. Someone asked about and said, the making the sessions longer. Yes, even though you do not have accounting background, I will be able to assist you. I said you do not need to worry much about that. We'll be able to assist you. So we'll be available to support, right? So just be there. We'll be able to support you from assignment 1 up to the end. So thank you everyone for attending the session. It's highly appreciated, and have a good evening for the rest of it. It is bye for now.
Oh, let me just say something. So I think there's someone who's saying, please share your contact details. We'll do that in, okay, let me just put in the number, 0677 620 616. You can just send a WhatsApp message there, and then you get further details. And also, we also encourage you to, when you are registering for these classes, to register using a Gmail account. Is easier that way when you are viewing the materials that we are going to be sending to you after the class, because obviously after this class we're going to send you this video via the details that you supplied when you were registering, right? So yeah, just a point to take note of when you are registering. Then also, if you choose to participate in the assignment class that we are going to be having, it's very important to, like what Sevik has said, to bring a calculator, and also the financial statements as well close by, so that when you are requesting for the figures, you should be able to participate, so that by doing so, you also know any scientific calculator will do. I'm sure, am I correct, Sevik? Or specific calculator?
Yes, any, even the basic calculator, but maybe if you have got Sharp, which can allow you to write fractions, it will maybe assist you to express every fraction. But since you are required to put all the calculations on paper, just a basic calculator, just a basic one. Because everything will be on paper, so you'll be calculating stage by stage. So just a basic calculator will do.
Yes. All right. Yeah, that's all from my side. Thank you so much. Until we meet again. It's a bye.
Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, guys. Take care. How
Thank
do we